Hello, everyone. This year's main karmic astrological aspect is the Chiron Aries conjunction, which became exact on the 27th, actually right before the Gemini New Moon. And I have a video on this if you are interested. And now, on the 1st and 2nd of June, Venus is joining them. And this is a triple conjunction, which could be interpreted in many ways. Venus, of course, in Aries is in detriment, but at the same time, it describes harmony and love and well-being and money and everything that is pleasurable in life. But at the same time, Chiron and Aries are not very nice. Aries means drastically altered outward circumstances, and Chiron is our karmic wounds. And it's quite interesting because in Aries, it spends 12 years. It's the longest for Chiron ingresses, which indicates that our most relevant karmic wounds and that comes in bulk is linked to anything that is ruled by Aries and Mars, wars, violence, all kinds of aggression, blood, fire, and things like that. Let's take a look at the chart. And this time I did not select a time. Actually, I did select a time, but it's not midday or not the exact to the minute conjunction, because first of all, the Chiron Aries conjunction, we have 3 days, almost 4 days after the exact conjunction, and this is when Venus is joining them. But the reason I selected this particular time was because the moon in Leo was joining Mars, which is ruling this traffic jam in Aries. So actually, this is a chart that is highlighted only by its conjunctions, and we are not going to look at the angles at all because it really is not relevant in this case. So here's Venus in its detriment, joining the Chiron Aries, not very nice conjunction. And there's another conjunction, Saturn, Neptune, and Ceres. Ceres is already moving away. Ceres is the nurturing principle, and Saturn, Neptune is the so-called architect aspect. It is very relevant every 45 years. It has this, we have this conjunction, and it means that the world wants to build, to construct something, a new structure, something new. And at the moment, what is under construction is the so-called European, United Europe or European United World or whatever. I don't know how they are going to name it, but they try to manufacture it. They have been trying to do this for the last 60 years with less and less success. But then finally, the globalists decided that no matter what, we are going to put these countries together. It doesn't matter that they are of different race and of totally different way of life and totally different customs. We don't care. We want them to be in this melting pot. And the first attempt was, of course, the migrant crisis in 2015, which is totally man-made, totally. And then the next one was, of course, the pandemic, the COVID, with the vaccination and the harsh and very, very undemocratic rules. And now the third one, the third attempt is the Russian-Ukrainian war. And what they want to do is they actually want to push Ukraine into this conglomerate and create with them a joint venture, which is totally, I don't even know what to say. It's such a mistake, and it's so horribly against what is good for Europe and European peoples that you can't even. That's why I'm bubbling, because I don't know what to say. I don't want to use harsh words, but it's really the stupidest idea there is, because it's not going to work. You can't press people together like this. It's going to be a huge tragedy. There's going to be either civil war or revolts or revolutions or just infighting. It's not going to work. Simply, it doesn't matter what they want to do, how they engineer the whole thing. It's not going to do. So anyhow, the Venus Aries Chiron conjunction is going to be on June 1st and 2nd. And this is around noon, where Mars is exactly conjunct the moon. So the moon is highlighting and illuminating Mars, which is ruling this 6 celestial objects in Aries. So it's a very militant, very strong energy. And what else is there, and this may be important, is the Vesta Black Moon Lilith conjunction. Black Moon Lilith is the third turning point of the Lilith myth. I have at least 4 or 5 videos out there, so you can check it out. And this is when Lilith goes back into the Garden of Eden to give, to rectify that Eve doesn't have a soul, and that is the biblical story, of course, Adam, Eve, and the serpent. And Vesta is the focusing principle. In karmic astrology, this particular Lilith denotes stamina, determinedness. I know what I want. I'm going to do it, and I don't care for the difficult circumstances, and because I know what's happening. So it's knowledge and clairvoyance that's also linked to Lilith. And Vesta, the focusing principle, the high priestess, is actually saying this is where you need to focus. Okay. The midpoint structure of Mars, which again is ruling these 6 celestial objects in Aries, and especially the triple conjunction of Venus, Chiron, and Eris, are ruled by Mars. If we dissect this triple conjunction, my master Judy Hall always called Venus Chiron. She gave the label "love hurts," and also immediately she also added love needs to be a healing. Love has healing properties, but Aries, drastically altered outward circumstances, simply disrupts the whole energy. So that's the issue. But Mars is at the midpoint of this triple conjunction and Astrea, the karma breaker. There's no other aspect between them. So that is why a midpoint structure is important. When you have 2 celestial objects and they create an aspect, of course, the aspect is all important. But if there's no aspect, but a third celestial object is getting in the middle of the other 2, that is a midpoint structure, and it works like a configuration. This is the case here. Astrea is the karma breaker or destiny changer, which makes no aspects to the Venus, Chiron, Aries triple conjunction, but Mars and the Moon, of course, are joining them. So actually, there is a space-time moment, which is highlighted by the Moon, and which tells us that we can actually act. We can actually act against this drastic, totally inhuman and totally anti-democratic thing that they are trying to push us. Have you heard, by the way, that there's again COVID in China? Isn't that interesting? Anyhow, so here's an aspect. To my taste, it's a little bit too wide, but I couldn't find anything else, so this is what we have to make do. And there's because actually the nodal axis is more or less already at 24 degrees, and Jupiter is almost at 27.5 degrees. So it's kind of stretching because I usually allow only 2 degrees, but let's take a look at it. There's a boomerang between the nodal axis, Pallas Athena, and the triple conjunction, telling us that, okay, we need to be wise, Pallas Athena, to resolve this issue. And of course, it will act upon our destiny for quite a while. There's also a harmonic triangle. The Pallas Athena Jupiter trine is still very strong. At the apex is the Vesta Chiron Eris triple conjunction. So again, be wise. Let's be optimistic, and then maybe we can do something about against it. And there's this mini engine, Uranus, Chiron, and Pallas Athena. So there's flashes of inspiration, hope, and also wisdom. So that's the way out of this situation. Here are the transcendental celestial objects. The Venus, Chiron, Aries triple conjunction has Ophelia. Who is Ophelia? She is Hamlet's fiancée, who actually commits suicide. And the way she is described, she's a very weak person. She doesn't understand what Hamlet does. She doesn't understand his madness. So she actually checks out of life, of course. And to me, Ophelia denotes weakness. When you actually leave, you check out, you kill yourself, you commit suicide because you can't tolerate life. And believe me, suicide is not something strong. So you don't need to be strong for suicide. You need to be strong for life. So that's Ophelia. And on Jupiter, we have Polaris, which I'm going to elaborate a little bit later, as soon as we finish this page. And Uranus has Xerxes, the general, and Alicanto, an ETNO, an extreme TNO, and it describes a bird, a nocturnal bird that eats precious metal, gold and silver, and its feathers are shining at night. It's a beautiful bird, but whenever it eats too much, it's unable to fly. And that's interesting because it means that a bird's task is to fly. And so it's actually linked to greed, unlimited greed. This is what you see in the global elite, that they have no limits whatsoever. And alicanto means that if you eat too much, you will lose your main purpose, which is you be human. On the North Node, you have Fantasia, and Prometheus, which means the one who knows before. So hindsight or clairvoyance or clairsight. Charon Hiabako, which is a figure who had a very important role to teach new ways to the people after the cataclysm. So it's accept the new ways, and this is how you can survive it. And Markab, which is Alpha Pegasus, which is the star of actually the heart of the celestial horse, where the winged horse, where and it symbolizes our ideas that are jumping out of our heads, brilliant ideas. And on Pallas Athena, you have Gorgo, the Gorgo sisters, three sisters who belong to the pre-Zeusian world, and they describe strong, independent, feminine archetypes. So is Pallas Athena. So it's actually reinforcing this. And here is Polaris and Jupiter. As you can see, Jupiter is nearing the summer solstice point, 0 degrees Cancer. It happens only every 12 years. It's presently at the 28th degree of Gemini. So it is aligned with Polaris. And this is what Bernal Brady emphasized way back in 2006, when she came up with the idea that we should not use with stars, we should not use the word conjunction, because there are stars everywhere in the universe, and there are simply not too many stars on the ecliptic. With the ecliptic, you can say, yes, it's conjunct a planet. But Jupiter can never be conjunct Polaris. It is at the moment at around 23 degrees north of the celestial equator. So and Polaris is about 90 degrees from the celestial equator. So there's never that cannot happen, this conjunction. But it's aligned, and Polaris is a world. Actually, it's a dimension portal where you can download things from parallel universes. It's quite powerful, interesting star. And here is how to find Polaris. Here's the Big Dipper, and this portion you simply say 5 times this the side of the chariot. You measure 5 times, and you will find Polaris, which is actually the axis of the Little Dipper as well. So this is Alpha Ursa Minor. This is how to find our axis mundi, because at the moment Polaris is our axis mundi, the world axis. Here it is. This is something, it's a very beautiful picture. And for this, you need to have an old-fashioned camera on a stand that is angled towards Polaris, and you have to have it open all night. And then you will understand the circumpolarity of certain stars that are around Polaris. So it really looks like we are hanging from this point. As you can see, this is never moving anywhere. And then the closer the stars are to Polaris, the bigger the circle they make becomes. So these are all circumpolar stars that are turning around above us. And the Chaldeans thought about these stars. Of course, all stars were considered to be gods, and they thought that these circumpolar stars are not interested in the human world. They never touch down the horizon. They never come to us. They are just up there and totally alien stars, gods and goddesses. So that's it, this triple conjunction. It could be utilized quite well. At the same time, because Venus is in detriment and it's aligned with really two not very nice energies, Chiron is always wounding. I mean, it's all not Chiron itself, but Chiron aspects, and when Chiron is prominent, it always indicates some sort of wound that is coming to the surface. Aries means drastically altered outward circumstances. You look around, you see violence, aggression, wars, blood, total demolition of countries. It's really terrible, but it could be stopped. Remember, there is this midpoint structure with Moon and Mars and Australia, the karma breaker. So let's do something, uh, whatever we can, on our own level, in our own circles. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.